Hey everybody, in January of 2011 I took a bit of a vacation. It was more of an extended vacation, and a lot of people didn't really know what I was doing or why I was doing what I was doing, so I thought I would make a little introduction video about what was going on. I was working in Corpus Christi in a hospital, and in December of 2010, I went ahead and quit because a couple of reasons. One, I was extremely burned out. I just needed a change. And also, I wanted to move anyway. And part of this trip I took was trying to just look at other places in the country, outside of Texas anyway, to, just check out, see if I ever wanted to move there. And that's was a large part of why I did what I did. So in January of 2011, I went ahead and just took this journey and started driving around to different places in the western United States. A lot of places that I hadn't been to before. And like I said, I just wanted to check places out and just get a feel for what kind of, what these towns were like, what the area was like, what some of the states were like that I had never been to before. Fawn was with me until Las Vegas, but then after Las Vegas, it was just me by myself. And what would happen is I would just drive, and I would drive until, a few hours a day, sometimes about 8 hours a day, but I would go to some city, and then I would decide, well, this is a good place to sleep for the night, so I would just get a hotel and just sleep for the night, and then get up the next day and drive and go somewhere else. And that's what I wound up doing for about roughly 2.5 weeks, close to 3 weeks. And when I left, I didn't really know how long this trip was going to be, but I just went ahead and just took off and did it. And these videos are the result of that trip. Like I said, I quit my job in December of 2010, but I had been saving up for a while, so that's where I got the money to do this. I just went out and, when I needed to eat, I would eat. When I needed to get a hotel, I'd get a hotel, and that's basically it. And then I took videos of everything I could, for the most part, and that's what we have here. The trip itself was about 2.5 weeks, roughly. I forget how many days exactly, but I spent a little over $600 in gas, and I went 3,900 plus miles. It was a little under 4,000 miles. And I don't know how much I spent on hotel rooms, but I think the most I ever spent on one night in a hotel was $90. So I was, for what I was doing, I was living relatively inexpensively, so it wasn't a tremendous amount. And actually, the whole trip cost a lot less than what I thought it would. And quite honestly, it wasn't as long as I thought it was going to be either. I thought it was going to be about a month, but it turned out to be under 3 weeks. So what I did was, Fawn and I left from Plano, which is above Dallas, and we went to Amarillo, then Las Vegas, then drove through New Mexico, spent the night in Flagstaff, and went to Las Vegas. When we got to Las Vegas, it was more or less a Las Vegas vacation. We stayed there for, I think, 3 nights, and then Fawn left. She had to fly back for a funeral, which was unfortunate. And then also her vacation was over, so she had to go back to work. And what I did was I stayed in Las Vegas a few more days, and then took off from there. I went to Reno, and then drove through the southeastern corner of Oregon. Then I went to Boise, Idaho, and then I went to Salt Lake City. And that was one of the mistakes I made. I should have just stayed in Salt Lake City for a couple of days because it's so gorgeous out there. But I didn't. I drove through there. I looked around for a while, then I drove through. Then I went through Wyoming. I stayed in a couple of places in Wyoming. driving through the southern part of the state, and then drove down and wound up going through Colorado, and then back down to Amarillo, and then back over to Dallas, and that's what I did. So, and overall the trip was really fun. I had a really good time. A couple of things I could have done differently. Actually, there's several things I could have and should have done differently. One was either taking a shorter trip, because this trip really wore me down, and you'll see that probably in the videos, especially towards the end. It became less about the traveling and more about just getting home, which was unfortunate, but that was just the way I felt. So what I should have done was either taken a shorter vacation and just made it less than 2 weeks, or I should have really spaced it out a little bit better, and when I got somewhere, just stayed at a hotel or wherever I was staying, and just stayed there for a couple of days and just recouped and rested, and that way, recharged for the next leg of the journey. Honestly, one of the things I didn't really think of was the weather, and I obviously I knew it was winter, and what I always told myself was that if the weather wasn't too bad, I'd keep going. If the weather got really bad and really snowy and too difficult, I would just turn around and start going back, or start going away from the bad weather, and I was going to go up north of, try to go up to Boise, which I did. But if it was too bad, I was just going to turn around and start heading south, and, to where the weather was better. So, but the only real bad weather I got was in Wyoming, but it was still drivable, and it was fine. So I got very lucky, because a week or 2 weeks after I got back, this really, really bad, I don't know if you remember this awful winter storm came through basically the whole country, and there was snow and sleet and bad weather for a couple of weeks. So I got very lucky on my timing on that. These videos are the result of my little trip that I went on. So anyway, I hope you enjoy it, and thanks for watching. Bye.